Hey, it's NPR's Book of the Day. I'm Andrew Limbong. I was in high school when the Da Vinci Code fever hit. It was one of those books that was just everywhere. I'd actually be hard-pressed to think of a novel since that's had such a large cultural impact. Well, the book's author, Dan Brown, is back at it again with a follow-up. This one is called The Secret of Secrets. And listen, at the end of the day, these are mystery thrillers, right? But in this interview with NPR's Scott Detrow, it's clear that Brown is just using the genre as a vehicle to ask some really big questions about human consciousness and what really happens after we die. That's ahead.
This message comes from NPR sponsor FX, presenting The Lowdown, starring Ethan Hawke, introducing you to Lee Raybon, a quirky journalist / rare bookstore owner / unofficial truth seeker who is always on the tail of his latest conspiracy. This time, his most recent expose puts him head-to-head with a powerful family that rules Tulsa, meaning only one thing: he must be on to something big. FX's The Lowdown premieres September 23rd on FX. Stream on Hulu.
Robert Langdon is back in action. The dashing and brilliant Harvard professor who has a knack for wandering into situations where he unearths big philosophical questions and at the same time gets chased around by bad guys who do not want those questions answered. Langdon is, of course, the recurring main character in author Dan Brown's thrillers, The Da Vinci Code, Angels and Demons, and many others. In Brown's latest novel, The Secret of Secrets, Langdon has traded the mysteries of Christianity and the mysteries of Freemasonry for the even bigger mystery of the nature of human consciousness. Dan Brown, welcome to All Things Considered.
Thanks for having me.
So this is, by my count, your sixth book starring Robert Langdon. How has he changed over the years?
Well, he's aging much more slowly than I am, I've sensed. This book took 8 years to write, and Langdon, who is always, he's always skeptical about all things conspiratorial and paranormal and all that sort of stuff. And in this book, he is sort of dragged out of his comfort box by a noetic scientist named Catherine Solomon, and he becomes a believer in aspects of consciousness that to most of us, myself included, seem quite out of this world.
I want to ask about the topic of the book. How much were you personally thinking about these big questions of consciousness? Was that how the book started out? Is that something you were wrestling with or wondering about and wanting to learn more about?
Absolutely. I mean, it's no secret I like to write about big, sweeping, important topics.
Yeah.
There really is no topic bigger that I can imagine than consciousness. It's the lens through which we see reality, see ourselves, see our interactions with other people. And I wrote the character Catherine Solomon maybe 10 or 12 years ago as an ancillary character in another book, and she was a noetic scientist. And through the research for that book, I started to learn about noetic science. And some of these mind experiments who have results that are simply, you cannot believe them. You hear what the result is and you say that's impossible, and you read more and you find out that reality is a much stranger thing than we ever imagined.
For those of us who aren't as familiar, can you briefly explain noetic science?
Noetic science is it's the study of consciousness, and more specifically, the study of how the human mind can affect physical matter. It has really taken me almost 2 decades to learn enough to write the book. Mm-hmm. And of course, it's a rapidly evolving field.
Yeah.
So you're constantly playing catch up. But yeah, this is a topic that I'm fascinated with, and it is relevant to every single person on Earth.
Yeah.
The Da Vinci Code resonated with Christians and people who thought a lot about religion. This, we all, for one, we all fear death. It is the great unknown, and that sort of catch-22 question where we're all going to find out the answer. We just can't get back to tell anybody what it is.
How much time do you spend thinking about that? Because that's something a character says at one point, that interest in consciousness comes directly from fear of dying or worry about dying.
I started this book in a very skeptical place, skeptical of a lot of this science and some of these new ideas about consciousness. And I came out the other end with a totally changed point of view. And I've changed dramatically in my view of death. I no longer fear death at all. I'm in no hurry. I love life.
Yeah.
But and probably not coincidentally, my mom died 8 years ago, right as I started this book. And it really was a catalyst as I started to learn more and more about out-of-body experiences and near-death experiences, and some of the physics that is really suggesting, if not proving, that our consciousness can survive the death of our physical body, which of course has enormous implications for everyone on a personal level.
Can I ask, since so many characters in the book ask each other this, do you believe that at this point?
I do. And 8 years ago, I would have given you a totally different answer. I would have said, death is the end, full stop, total blackness, the end.
Yeah.
You've basically cut the cable to the computer and it's off. You asked me today, and I'm 100% convinced that the consciousness, whether you want to call it the soul or whatever you want to call it, your consciousness will survive beyond your physical death. And,
That's a high level of certainty for the biggest unknown in existence.
You know what? It is. And I should also stress, I have not had a spiritual experience. I have not had an out-of-body experience, a religious experience. This is simply based on enormous amounts of reading and conversations with specialists in the field, as well as people who have had these experiences and are really walking their talk. They come back from out-of-body experiences and change their lives in fascinating ways.
Lastly, getting back to Robert Langdon's day job, which shows up in your books more than other professor day job shows up in movies. Would you, if you were a college student, would you rather be in Professor Langdon's class or Professor Indiana Jones's class?
You know what? I think you would win either way. Any teacher that can incite a bit of curiosity in his or her students is doing a pretty good job.
There you go. That was author Dan Brown. His new book, Secret of Secrets, is out today. Thank you so much.
And thanks so much for having me.
This message comes from Monday.com, the first work platform you'll love to use. Meet Monday Sidekick, your AI-powered work BFF that handles everything for you, from daily briefings to risk analysis. Start your free trial at Monday.com. Support for NPR and the following message come from Boll & Branch. Turn your bed into a sanctuary this fall with their buttery, breathable bedding. Enjoy 15% off your first set of sheets at BOLL&branch.com with code NPR. Exclusions apply. This message comes from Monday.com, the first work platform you'll love to use. Meet Monday Sidekick, your AI-powered work BFF that handles everything. Daily briefing? Done. Project owners? Assigned. Risk analysis? Ready when you are. Monday Sidekick understands your business, your workflow, even your passive-aggressive tone before lunch. Just say what you need and consider it done. Monday Sidekick, AI you'll love to use. Start your free trial at Monday.com.